Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. It's time to sit down, shut up, and rock out. Yes, it's time for another episode of Tales from a Retro Rocker. Now guys, I would never tell you to shut up. That would be rude. I'm telling everyone else. I'm telling people that go to concerts and just can't stop yammering, can't shut their mouths. It drives me insane, and I'm gonna give you guys 3 instances. 2 are where people just couldn't quit talking, and 1 where a guy's singing ruined the show, or at least part of it. And I'm gonna save the most egregious example for last, when it was just absolutely driving me crazy, and it almost cost me a friendship. So first up, Dead & Company at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Wow, my wife treated me to this concert for our anniversary. We had a trip scheduled, planned to go to Chicago for our anniversary, and as a present, a gift while we were there. This wasn't necessarily something that was on our agenda at first, but she got us tickets to Dead & Company. You know, 3 surviving members of the Grateful Dead, plus John Mayer, you know, taking sort of the Jerry Garcia role. Amazing band. I love this band. I listen to them all the time. Well, we went to this amazing show at Wrigley Field, the baseball stadium. Well, it absolutely just, what was going on? The first half of the show, when it was still daylight, people around us and all over the stadium were talking. Now, Dead & Company is not a real loud band. You know, Grateful Dead, despite their name, Dead & Company, Dead, they're not screamers. It's not a hard rock band. They're a folksy rock band with influence from jazz and country and even jug band music. Very mellow band. They're a jam band, but they're a mellow jam band. And they're not super loud, especially outdoors in a baseball stadium, but there were so many people talking, thousands of people, that it was a dull roar, the conversation. And you could barely hear the band, and that was incredibly annoying. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Now the second half of the concert, if I recall, there might have been even an intermission, but there was a distinct second half after it got dark. And at this point, I guess everybody had plenty to smoke and drink. Everybody had chilled out and mellowed out, and it was darker, so I guess less conducive to seeing people and talking to people, or people were tired, or whatever the case. At this point, people were more mellowed out, and they were sunk into their chairs and were being quiet for the most part. The second half of the concert was much, much better than the first half because people just could not shut up. Now, why would you spend... Concerts these days are expensive. I mean, a $60, $70, or $80 concert is considered kind of reasonable these days. You know, shows are $100, $200. It's insane. And to go there and just yammer and yap, what are you doing? You can do that at a bar. You can do that at home. You can do that at a baseball game. You can do that outside walking around. Why would you spend a fortune going to concerts just to talk? Or do you not care about the music? I mean, Dead & Company, supposedly, Grateful Dead fans are super devoted and just, absolutely love this band. I mean, John Mayer now takes, the Jerry Garcia role, and you got 3 surviving members of the Dead. Incredible stuff. I love this band. But why would people talk through it? I don't understand this at all. So it was still an incredible experience. It was a great scene. It was a big hippie hangout inside the baseball stadium and outside it, where there was another band, like a cover band, before the show. That was incredible. Just a great scene. And it was during the same weekend as Pokemon Go, so we had a great time in the city, with Deadheads and Pokemaniacs everywhere. But man, people just wouldn't shut up the first half of that concert. It made me insane. Next up, my wife and I went to go see Fleetwood Mac in Dallas, and this show was incredible. This was when Lindsey Buckingham was still with the band. I can't imagine seeing Fleetwood Mac without him. His guitar playing is so distinctive. He's so incredible. And it was a great show. They were in top form. Yes, they are on in years, they are older, but they still sound incredible. This was just a few years ago, and it was during a snowpocalypse, but we braved we knew it was going to come down a huge snow afterwards. And but we went. It took us about 2 hours to get home in the snow, but it was well worth it because it was an incredible concert. Now, this was a loud show. It was loud enough. People talking around us wasn't really an issue. But when the band would stop down and tell stories, in particular, Stevie Nicks, she was telling this amazing tale of meeting Janis Joplin back in 1965 in San Francisco. Stevie Nicks is telling this amazing story. I mean, Stevie Nicks is a legend. We're not talking about a Stevie Nicks tribute artist. We're not talking about a Stevie Nicks lookalike. We're talking about Stevie Nicks, a goddess of rock and roll. Just one of the great all-time greats, a legendary figure, amazing. I have admired her, worshiped her for forever. And as many other rock fans do, she's incredible. I love her solo stuff. I love the Fleetwood Mac stuff. She's amazing. And I even like the Buckingham Nicks album, which is great. But during this story, so many people around us were completely oblivious. Here's this legend talking about meeting another legend, Janis Joplin, back in the 60s. Just an incredible time of change and of music. And so many people around us are oblivious and talking. And they were interested in the music, that was fine, but when the band, they would share a few anecdotes. Now, they didn't go on for a long time. It wasn't boring. It wasn't preaching or anything like that. It was just these great stories. Incredible. I loved it. It was fascinating, but people around me would not shut up. Luckily, I could still hear what Stevie Nicks was saying, but I didn't understand why people around me weren't listening. If you're going to a Fleetwood Mac concert, surely you know who Stevie Nicks is. Surely you realize her legendary status. Surely you know who Janis Joplin is, and that you would want to hear these fascinating stories. Just mind-blowing that people would just tune out for this. Unbelievable. And one time, and perhaps the worst of these examples, we were at a John Prine concert, my wife and I. John Prine, the legendary folk singer-songwriter, the late, great John Prine. We were there, and there was a person near us for the first 5 or 6 songs singing every word to every song very loudly. Now, this person had had a few to drink, and I get it that you want to sing along to the songs, and that's fine at loud shows where people aren't going to hear just you. And I get when there's a group sing along and all this kind of stuff. But when you're at a folk show, folk music, and Prine wasn't singing very loud, his band wasn't very loud, you kind of needed to sit still and listen. And this person was singing pretty loudly to the point where you could only hear this person and not John Prine. And finally this person left, and when they did, after a few songs, people around us started cheering because, gosh, it was so annoying, and it was really an awkward situation. It's like in the movie theater. You want to shush the person that's talking, but when you inevitably do, it's awkward. And if you're sitting by that person the rest of the movie, it can be a little awkward. Indeed, at a concert, something like this, we're just in a small venue and it's sort of quiet music, and there's one person singing loudly to all the songs. Someone actually sort of shushed him, which was a little awkward. Fortunately, that person did leave, and that pretty much salvaged the rest of the show. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. If you've been to any rock concerts or music concerts of any kind recently where there was annoying behavior, I have to tell you, if I would have been, around back in the 60s to go to concerts, I was born in 67, but not old enough to go to a Beatles concert, and they stopped touring, just a few years into their career. If I had gone to a Beatles concert back in the day and the girls were screaming so loud you could barely hear the music, I can tell you that would have made me absolutely insane. You're seeing the Beatles. Shut up and listen. Anyway, that's how I feel about, in general, about going to a performances. I want to be able to hear. I want to be able to see. I want to be able to watch. Don't go crazy. Now, again, there are different circumstances. A mosh pit, an insane heavy metal show, a dance show, electronic music, whatever. Follow the crowd, see what they're doing. Now, I don't typically say follow the crowd and do what they're doing, and in some cases you definitely don't want to just mindlessly follow the crowd. But what I'm saying is, at a music show, read the room. If there's a group sing-along, fine. If it's a loud show, fine. But man, if it's a quiet show, or it's a situation where you're preventing other people from enjoying the music or the movie or the play or the musical or anything else. I don't mean you. You're too smart for this. I mean you, everyone at large. Just pay attention. Just be mindful of others and don't ruin the experience for other people. And do what you paid to be there for. Listen, watch, enjoy, experience. Yeah, you might want to tell your friend every once in a while, isn't this great? Or, I love this song or whatever. But man, don't just sit there and have these long, drawn-out, loud conversations and ruin the experience for others. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking this video. And keep on rocking. Let me know in the comments if you've had, experiences like this where you've just gotten super annoyed at a public performance because of behavior of the people around you. All right, guys, enough of my rant. We will talk to you in another video. Thanks for watching another episode of Tales from a Retro Rocker.